Show. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks, to a Notre Dame Senior Day. Time to smoke yourself a Virginia Slim edition of the Always Irish Show. As always, you can find our program on YouTube. Do it. Subscribe if you haven't yet. Appreciate it very much. Give the video a thumbs up. That helps Yanni Boy out as well. Notifications on that way you don't miss nothing. How about Twitter? Search bar Always Irish. Rat. Always Irish. Hey, if you want to see me in a Twitter beef with an LSU person every day, email's alwaysirishnd@gmail.com. Audio only anywhere you want it. You can get it. If you don't want to see my face, ain't nobody going to blame you for that. How do you think I feel? I'm stuck with it. Call-in lines, 312-988-15. Dial it up. Tell Uncle Johnny all you've heard and seen. Notre Dame Fighting Irish, brought to you by Sports Illustrated. Read all about it, man, every single day. We got a good crew over there. It's a beautiful thing. Patreon.com/alwaysirish. He the former captain. He the leading tackler. It's Mike Goolsby and Jared Clark. They're breaking down the film. We're talking about the playoff run, everything Notre Dame over there. Thank you. Loyal crew. Thank you guys so much. All right. Here we are. Light at the end of the tunnel. Notre Dame's 3 games away from making the playoff and maybe having a home seed in the playoff. Considering the nightmare that happened week 2, this is as good as it gets, folks. You're in as good of a position as you could possibly be for Notre Dame right now. All right? Now you got Senior Day. You got a very interesting Virginia team coming to town. Notre Dame's what? 22.5, 23-point favorite. It's very, very interesting. Let's break this down. First, Senior Day is a little tough. Senior Day is a little tough. Ever since I've been doing this show, I bring up every single Senior Day, the idea that it's like kind of somber and like kind of melancholy on Senior Day because it's like the end of something and at the end of the home slate and you're saying goodbye and a lot of these guys aren't going to be here anymore and you got to hug your mom and your dad and everything. And then 1 minute later, you got to go crack some lids. Like it could be a tricky emotional thing to handle, like the whole, your final thinking of your old Notre Dame journey and everything, but you got a game to win. I get all that. I always worry about it. I always worry about it. Now, I will say this. On the plus side, Marcus Freeman has had 2 Senior Days, and neither of those games have been close. Some of that is who they schedule, but there is a good history there of the games not being close under Freeman. But I always worry about it. Now, here's what I think balances that worry out in this particular case this year. Notre Dame's in a playoff chase. Okay? So even though it might be a little chilly, not really. Temperatures low 50s, a wind under 10 miles an hour. Looks like it'll be a pretty mild afternoon in Notre Dame. November and it's a little chilly and you're playing a team that doesn't excite anyone, like Virginia doesn't excite anybody. Even if Virginia was like undefeated, they don't excite. It's like Virginia is not an exciting helmet or program, whatever. And I realize that could come back to bite me in a few days. I know. I'm just saying the truth. So listen, Notre Dame's in a playoff chase. If this home crowd can't get loud for this situation, I just send in your season tickets and never come to a game again. Like, I understand last week was the night game and you had the rap song, and the paratrooper and it's night and what, I get all that. If you can't be loud to support your team in their last home game before they go on the road to seal their playoff spot, you're the worst fan base for a big team in America. Stay home. Stay home. So, yes, I realize it's just like, can it be a sleepy late fall day in South Bend or whatever, and Virginia doesn't excite anybody? The crowd should be excited because of what Notre Dame's doing. This is your last chance in the regular season to see these guys play at home before you send them off to finish on the road in New York and in LA. There is no reason for the crowd not to be loud. You're in the playoff hunt. Root these guys on. It reminds me of 2012 Wake Forest. You beat them 38-0. It was a bad Wake Forest team. Same thing. Sleepy November, Senior Day, whatever. The crowd was loud. You know why? Notre Dame was undefeated. So I don't think I should have to have that crowd worry when Notre Dame's in the position they're in. And if we do, this fan base is lamer than I already think it is half the time. But that's what it reminds me of, is that 38-0 day against Wake Forest. And it wasn't about them. It was about what we were doing. So that's the way I see that dynamic. There's no reason to have a lame crowd when this is your send-off of the team in a playoff chase. Are you outside your mind? Be loud, be proud, or never come back again. Virginia is a weird team, man. Virginia is a weird team to get a handle on. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm like trying to look at number. I'm having a hard time figuring out what the realities of this Virginia team are. And then I keep hearing on my live stream a couple of the morning show, oh, look out, John, they beat Pitt. They beat Pitt. Whoop-de-doo. Whoop-de-doo. What am I impressed you beat Pitt? What is Pitt to New Georgia? I'm sorry. Oh, John, they had a good record. Yeah, in the dumpster ACC. I'm sorry. I'm not impressed you beat Pitt. Show me a team with real talent you beat. I'm not impressed beating Pitt. Sorry. And the people making the argument, I should be scared of Virginia because they beat Pitt, which I don't buy on face. The game before that, they got blown out by a mediocre North Carolina team. So I don't know what the realities are. They lost to North Carolina. They lost to Clemson. They lost to a Louisville team you beat, and they lost to Maryland. Nobody loses to Maryland. I don't know what to make of it. Notre Dame's 22.5, 23-point favorite. Let's try and parse through some of this, figure out some realities here. Here's what I find interesting. When you look at their statistics, points per game scored, points per game allowed. So offense, defense, some symmetry here. 81st on offense, 82nd on defense. Here's some interesting matchups to consider. Their passing offense is 39th in the U.S., the U.S. of A., 254 yards per game. And our strength is that secondary. Okay, so they're in their 39th, 255, 50-ish yards per game going against our strength in that secondary. Their run offense is 86th in the country, 140 yards per game. Look at this, though. Tackles for loss. Ooh, this gets juicy. Tackles for loss allowed. They are 102nd in the country. Sacks allowed. 127th out of 133 major football operations. So when you look at tackles for a loss allowed, sacks allowed, and they're well into the hundreds, there's an opportunity there for Notre Dame's defensive front to eat. There is an opportunity there for Notre Dame's defensive front to eat. Notre Dame can get after these guys. Those numbers indicate to me you got a problem up front somewhere. Sacks allowed, 127th out of 103. Not good. Not so good, my friend. Can't get enough unfiltered Notre Dame football talk? Be sure to go over to patreon.com/alwaysirish. Former captain Mike Goolsby and myself. Do that. Screw it.
Oh, we never won anything. It's been 30 years.
So that's interesting. On defense, this is interesting too. They're 49th in rush defense. They allow 133 yards a game. Pass defense, though, they're 118th in the country, and they allow 263 yards a game on average through the air. That seems like a lot to me. 118 out of 133, not good. They're allowing 260-something through the air. Okay, so this is another interesting dynamic, you guys. We're better at running than passing, and they're better at defending the run than they are the pass. And that's not our strength. So you have a little strength on weakness, weakness on strength here. So what gives? When you're looking at this, the way this breaks down, what gives then? Do you think Notre Dame should be able to run it and pass it on them anyways? Do you try to pass the ball, considering that they look very porous on the back end, but it's not Notre Dame's strength? Is that something you want to work on for the playoff too? So you're going to try and do that more? Are you going to try a little healthy blend? Or are you going to say, I just think we can run the ball? Just got nominated for the Joe Moore Award. I think we could run the ball. By the way, I don't think Notre Dame's like going to win or should win the Moore Award, but I do think it's a compliment to Rudolph that he's been able to take this unit that's had nothing but personnel problems all year and make it respectable. It's a really good job by them. Really good job by the staff on that. And the players too. Next man up, doing it like they're gelling. Good job there. So what do you try and do here when you have this unbalanced thing? They're better against defending the run than the pass, and we're better at running than we are passing. Something's got to give. Something's got to give. I just can't. Looking at their schedule and their results, I struggled to have a really firm understanding of like exactly what their level is. It's just so weird. Okay, you beat Pitt, fine, whoop-de-doo. But you blown out by North Carolina. You lost to Clemson. You lost to Louisville. The Maryland loss was like the third or fourth game of the year, but still. And so I don't know what their true level is. And I'm just, I don't know what you're going to get. But you would like to think Notre Dame could 22.5, 23-point favorite. And you know, the other thing is this came up too on the morning show. And I'm going to present it to you guys and ask what you think too. Remember when I was saying after the Northern Illinois loss, I said the big problem I have with this is once you show us you're capable of playing this poorly, that's got to be a result that's on the table every single week, and it clouds the way I look at you when I know that level of bad play is always right there in the golf bag for you to pull that club out. How many games in a row does Notre Dame have to play competent football and kick the crap out of an opponent before we don't have that worry anymore? That's an honest question I don't have the answer to. Is it all year you got to have that worry because you did it once in this year and it's always there? Or am I disrespecting this team and what they've done from that on to where now you're saying that was so long ago, this team's not capable of playing that bad? We're so far beyond that. That's a genuine question for the group. I'd want you to write in your answer in the comments. But I'm admitting I don't have a firm feel on what I'm going to get out of this Virginia team. I just think Notre Dame could find a way. So I'm definitely going to pick Notre Dame to win. I have a big decision to make of whether they're going to cover this spread or not. I'm just so uncertain about what the reality and level is of this team that's coming in here. I still got to make that pick of whether we're going to cover or not. So that's kind of where I'm at on this. You navigate the senior day thing, you hug your mommy or whatever, and then you got to get focused back in. I think the crowd should be loud and proud, send the guys out on a playoff chase. It'd be really nice, like, when isn't it? Can you get out a little earlier and kind of establish some dominance so we're not sweating it out or whatever? I don't know. Let's look at a couple other games. It's not a great weekend on the college football slate. Tennessee, Georgia's a big game, obviously. Follow me here. Tennessee has one loss. They're ahead of Notre Dame. Georgia has two. They're below Notre Dame. If Georgia beats Tennessee, they would both have two losses. Does the playoff committee say, hey, I know Georgia has two losses, but they're in the SEC and they just beat a really good one-loss team, bounce them ahead of Notre Dame on the eye test? Or is it both those SEC teams have two losses and that's worse than Notre Dame's one and Notre Dame's ahead of them? I don't know. If you're looking for like who to root for or whatever, I don't have the answer to that question. I need the answer to that question to know which way to go. I'm sure there's some people that are going to say, I don't care what happens with Tennessee. I want Georgia to have three losses and out of this playoff race. And that's a reasonable perspective too, because I understand how talented their roster is, even though they're catching a few losses. Here's another thing too. That Florida quarterback, what's his name? Lagaway, something like that. I wish he was 100% healthy for Florida to clip Brian Kelly and give him three losses in a row. That's on my radar too. I want to see how Brian Kelly's boys bounce back. It's 2 losses in a row. You had a bye week in between, but you had the A&M nightmare in the second half, a bye week, a total disgrace to the entire state of Louisiana. You don't believe me? Just ask the governor. He had some interesting comments to make about Brian Kelly's team. Can they get a 3rd loss in a row? Are they down and out, going to Florida, going to the swamp? If that Lagway kid could run and he's not injured, I like their chances a lot more because the running quarterbacks are where Kelly's team's fallen off the track this year. So I don't know what to make of it. One thing I'm going to admit, maybe I shouldn't say this as a Notre Dame fan or whatever, but I got to be honest with you guys like I always am. Road SEC games are the real deal, man. I've watched more SEC football the last year and then this year than I ever have before. With Kelly in the league, it's so interesting to me. And the new teams joining the SEC and the way they did away with divisions, and it's a big round robin and all these good teams play each other. I am fully going to admit road games in the SEC are a big, big deal. And I'm telling you this right now, man. You just don't have the wine and cheese crowd at these SEC venues. Everybody in there lives and dies with every play. It's really some awesome, awesome environments. But I'm telling you, I think there's really something to, like when they do the gambling thing and the road team and the home time, there is something to these road SEC games are the real deal. And I respect those environments. And I love that those fan bases treat football as a borderline religion and everybody lives and dies with every play in a way Notre Dame fans never will because they're too worried about their stock portfolio and their next client at their law practice or whatever. So I've come to really, really respect and appreciate those environments. So what are you going to get? What are you going to get? Notre Dame's in a playoff chase. You got your final home game. This needs to be all hands on deck. Let's go. Let's get it. I want a fired up crowd. I want a fired up Freeman. I want a fired up team. I want all of it. Let's go. Win a game. Don't forget to check out the merchandise. The link is in the description. You can browse and carouse all the different Always Irish gear. Make sure you head over there and get something for the next tailgate. Thanks for being here.